Hi, everybody. We're here on YouTube. Welcome to the live stream. I'm really excited. It's time for a channeling session, and I'm struggling to find. There we go. That's where it is. Go to the comments of the video. You'll find the link to join. We always provide the link to join, and there you can ask questions. We'd love to see you in the chat. We take questions in written form, but when you bring your energy in person, there's way more that the Pleiadian Council can say, and there's way more information that's going to come from your question. And also, we love to create a sense of community, bringing people together who might otherwise not connect. Sometimes it's lonely being a light worker, and we ought to do stuff to make it better. So come and see what is up by joining the Zoom. And I'm trying to get back into Zoom myself. And I'm back in Zoom myself. Hi everyone, I'm Dante Starshine, and we're here with some beautiful people. Michael Lassen is the host to Ask Your Questions Aloud. And these sessions take place on a nearly weekly basis. You can watch them on YouTube. The Pleiadian Council answers your questions. What am I saying? DanteStarshine.com has information on private sessions. The personal sessions allow you to go a lot deeper and get some deep insight that might not be possible in these sessions. We ask people keep the questions in these sessions to something that can benefit the entire group, benefit the entire audience, so that everybody gets something out of these sessions. Also, we ask that you're muted when you're not speaking, and we ask that you are polite and courteous to everybody here. And what else? DanteStarshine.com for private sessions. I have books available on the website, and I as well teach a channeling course to help people learn how to channel and connect with their guides and do practice intuitive healing. The course has been running for 4 years. We're in the midst of one right now. It's a really beautiful journey. And the course really runs when people sign up. So you can inquire about it, and when there's enough people, it'll begin again. So it's something that you can also do on your own, just watching the videos and integrating them in your own way. And I do astrology readings, and psychic somatic coaching is now what I'm calling these other sessions that I've been doing for a while, but struggled to put a name on. And now I'm excited to go deeper with that. So there'll be more information on that at the time it's relevant. So let's begin, and I'll see you on the other side. Oh yeah, and tune in again. Probably the upcoming week, I hope to do the session on Wednesday. But without further ado, I'm going to start the channel. Hello, and we say a fantastic day to you at this moment of your time. We are the Pleiadian Council, and we thank you for allowing this transmission to take place today. It is a gift and a blessing for us to be able to interact with you, and we thank you for opening the space of communication between our realms, as it allows for both you and ourselves to grow in deeper connection with the source, and for this we are deeply appreciative. So the message today is entitled Memories from Lyra. And now we want to point back to the very origin of all high intelligence in this galaxy, in this universe, ultimately. It comes from the star system you know to be Lyra. This is where souls first began to incarnate in deep and powerful way. Lyra was home to many different types of beings. There were some beings that resembled animals in your own world. Some of you have heard before this idea that Earth is like a living library. And as your planet has been modified and different species have been imported from around the galaxy, your Earth is sort of like a mixed bag, a zoo of species that are also found around the galaxy. And so ancient Lyrans had several different types of expressions. Some were feline-like, lion-like. Some were lizard-like. Some were semi-aquatic. Some were semi-humanoid, like primates, like monkey-esque sorts of beings. And these beings evolved in natural ways over millions of years. And they eventually got to points of very high degrees of intelligence. They got to the point of deep spiritual understanding. Their intellects developed, and they started to see what they were capable of. And they began a process of colonizing other planets, of harnessing the work and effort of beings of a lower level of intelligence and using them to their advantage. In other words, it was slavery that they started to practice. They had very aggressive attitudes, and this energy carried with them for some time, up into a point that there was a emerging new consciousness that moved through one of the Lyran worlds. And this consciousness actually came from the lion Lyrans, who were developing an attitude of compassion for the first time in history. And at a certain moment, these beings looked out upon those they were oppressing, and they felt sorrow. They felt the pain of the others. And this created a sudden awakening in a group of these Lyran beings. They were moved to influence their collective consciousness at the time, to break away from their way of control, their way of coercion, their often violent suppression of the other beings around. And there was some momentum behind this movement, yet it came to a sudden halt. The leaders of that world at that time knew only the power of force. They did not know the true workings of love. And yet, as this love awakened, they knew that something big was about to happen. They found this love very threatening. And nonetheless, these new beings representing nonviolence, representing spirituality, representing a new shift in their collective, stood proud and strong in defense of what they believed in and in defense of those species of a lower intelligence. Yet there was an opposition so great that the powers that were in that world exiled these beings into other planets. They did this covertly, sometimes informing them that they were to go on top secret missions that would be a part of this nonviolent initiative that they were so much wanting. And then these beings were left on their own on deserted planets. Sometimes these beings could survive. Other times, the new environment and hostile terrain took their lives very quickly. Few of these exiled Lyrans survived and created small clusters of civilization that lasted for short periods of time. These exiled Lyrans felt the deepest pain of abandonment. For to love and to be betrayed, they found, was an even greater degree of suffering than the suffering experienced by those beings they so hoped to defend. Yet, nonetheless, at a soul level, this awakened an invigorating spirit in them. And at a soul level, these beings began to incarnate onto other planes of existence. The first of these was Vega. And Vega was a hub for a new spiritual consciousness, the consciousness of enlightenment that attempted to emerge in Lyra and was suppressed by this domineering force, then again sought to emerge in Vega. Yet, encoded with the trauma of betrayal, of deception, of abandonment, the Vegan civilization attempted to keep entirely to themselves. They were aware of the Lyran energies, but they avoided them at all costs and even attempted to create cloaking technologies and shields so that their very existence could be hidden. But they were discovered by the Lyrans, and they went into years and years of war. The conflict lasted for so long that eventually these souls incarnating into a great galactic war sought to resolve this energy in another plane. And this led to souls incarnating into Orion, where over time, again, that same archetypal play emerged. And then souls came to incarnate into Sirius and into the Pleiades, where ultimately this same archetypal drama emerged. Yet we, as the Sirians and the Pleiadians, were the first to overcome. But we did so through trial and error. As we've shared before, we as Pleiadians had many well-intended attempts at saving others, rescuing others, enlightening others who did not want to be enlightened. All of these backfired. And it was when we learned the true power of co-creation without implementing our will onto others, without violating their free will, even if we knew better, which almost always we did. We won't lie. Yet, what we didn't know was that to support without honoring the free will in others was nonetheless a violation, was nonetheless something that created a karmic reaction for us that led to huge setbacks, sometimes of hundreds of thousands of years in our own evolution. And we remembered the stories of our ancestors, and eventually we broke the cycle to become an enlightened race along with the Syrians, and they had their own journey of doing that that's slightly different from our own. Yet we emerged and we came to be emissaries supporting all of the other beings in this galaxy in going through that process themselves. Yet we still carried for so much of our time soul level wounds that originated all the way back in Lyra. And in your present times, as energies accelerate, you are unraveling more and more of what is ancient and stored within you. And these memories of Lyra are now surfacing for so many of you. You are starting to remember that initial resistance, that initial epiphany, and the way that you were betrayed simply for acting in love, the way that you were condemned for living the truth. There's all sorts of other manifestations of this in your world, like the witch trials as a very recent and fresh example. Those who speak the truth are cast out. And you see this now with many manifestations in your world, in your collective consciousness, imprinted in your minds by your media. Those who open to the truth are cast out. And now it is time for you to heal your memories from Lyra. And now it is time for you to integrate the medicine of our times as well. You must come to understand that your intentions are all well and good if your intentions are all well and good. Though you must live in alignment with the free will of those around you. And those who do not, with their own free will, choose and consent to receiving your support are not those that are meant to be co-creators on your path. And while you may know the truth, see the truth, and live the truth is only for ears of those who consent to hearing it. And therefore, it is of the utmost importance that you cast away at this time those connections, those bridges, those identities that don't choose the truth with their own free will. This also means the parts of yourself that do not choose to align with truth with their own free will. Allow yourself to see and hold the space for that understanding, for that reality. There are many who claim to want healing, but they do not want the truth. And those are your deceivers. There are many who claim to want love, but they only want to be loved at the level of their own ego. And those are your greatest betrayers. There are those who want your attention, but will not give back energy in a way that uplifts you as equally as you uplift them. And those are the ones to allow yourself to hold in your heart while taking a physical space, to turn inward to your own alchemical journey, recognizing that these behaviors represent an old earth. These behaviors represent the domineering attitude of the Lyrans and all other galactic civilizations of the past who denied the free will of others and who did not allow for freedom to reign. You must remember at this time that freedom is already yours. You are already free. You were born free. Free will is your birthright. And you can use your free will to construct the illusion of a lack of freedom. But it is only an illusion. You are free. And so exile your sympathy or you will be exiled. Compassion is a much higher vibration of sympathy than sympathy, rather. Compassion has nothing to do with sympathy. It is when you look down upon others that you will be cast down yourself. When you feel bad for those who suffer, you are inherently putting yourself at a higher position. This stance of arrogance will be your downfall. Compassion knows that everybody gets their own karmic return in the moment and in the long run. Focus on your own karma and your own co-creators, for there are those around you who know their freedom as well. And as you align with those who choose to align with the truth of freedom, this freedom will be deeply imprinted in your being and will lay the foundation of the new earth. This is the process all of you are in at this time. This is the process that you are in at this time. You are tuning into the collectivized mind for better and for worse. And many of you need to tune out of the collective levels of fear and tune into your own personal level of fear. Many of you internalize the struggles of others because you believe that in doing so, you will get the reward for helping them heal. But you can only help yourself. So it is better that you focus on those who practice the path of true equality and true co-creation. For those who suck in your attention and those who fish for your pity will again be your demise. Allow your heart to be open and allow your truth to be spoken for those who have the ears to hear it. And this transmission very much aligns with that second part of the formula, doing your passion to the best of your ability. We know that many of you have been passionate about being helpful. And now doing that in a better way means to really help yourself first and help those who continue to help you, recognizing that you have to build together. After laying the foundation of the new earth, the floorboards must go in, and the walls must be constructed, and the castle must be erected. So don't let yourself be distracted by those who continue to insist that their old earth is better than the new earth that is being birthed through you in this moment. Focus your heart on this work and allow it to be a joyful process, because it ultimately is. And in this process, you are releasing the karmic density from billions of years of existence. Earth is a plane, like so many, where the karmic energies from the galactic past seek to transform. And some of you will find that in these times, there are, as we said last week, sub-personalities, mini-me's, seeming entities within you that almost take control of you. They may be dark, but if you listen to them and you observe them and you offer love to them, you may find that some of these seemingly other entities are actually the soul aspects that have been exiled in the times of Lyra, in the times of the ancient Pleiadian civilization. the ancient Vegan civilization, and the ancient Orion civilization. You have these soul aspects alive within you. And because they have been shrouded in so much darkness, they are connected with your deepest shadows and the things that you fear the most. This fear of exile, and this fear of abandonment, and this fear of othering is one of the deepest wounds that you carry. So much so that many of you have so much armoring and conscious work to avoid it that you don't ever see it. And you don't ever see that all of the ways that you seek approval and seek to belong to groups of people that don't really resonate with you are all ways that you avoid this primal and ancient fear that actually is not relevant for your planet anymore. It's not relevant for your planet anymore because you've already chosen the timeline of Earth ascension. The skeletons and the recycling from old Earth are still present in your reality. Yet use this energy as a reminder of your mortality, and use your mortality as a reminder of your infinite nature, knowing that you as a soul are part of a billions of years process of evolution. You think you're only so old, but you are forgetting who you really are, eternal. And as you remember this eternal essence, this eternal nature, you will let go of the fear, of the urgency, of the anxiety, of the panic about your own condition or about the condition of your world. And come to recognize that this is paradise. Even if some people choose to use the free will given to them in paradise to create hell, that does not have to be your reality. So stop taking pity on them and you will be free. Step into compassion, which knows co-creation inherently and knows the power of personal creation and karmic creation and soul level creation that works through all beings. Our great love and our thanks to you for allowing us to share this transmission with you at this moment of your time. And we ask now, how can we be of service to you with your questions, comments, inquiries, and musings, beginning whenever you would wish.
All right, so powerful and beautiful transmission. Um, Let us check if there's anyone on Zoom who wants to ask a question.
All right.
Otherwise, I would love for you to go into something you mentioned a while ago, and I wrote this down. I almost bought the domain name. You mentioned something about relentless compassion,
Yes.
and it really struck with me ever since. So I would love for you to expand on what you meant with that back then.
Relentless compassion starts with yourself, and it is about allowing yourself to embrace all of your experiences. The opposite of compassion is rejection. And generally, you will reject yourself before there's any rejection outside of you. It's when you reject yourself that the mode of reactivity and repression starts to kick in. So the first attitude of relentless compassion is within yourself, and it is acknowledging all of your emotions and energies and sensations. You can label your feelings, even in your own mind. And as you label them, affirm that these feelings are valid and they are real and they are okay. That is not saying that the thoughts behind them are true. It is simply recognizing that there is an experience that is being had. And extending relentless compassion to others then includes that you accept the validity of all other people's experiences. These experiences are real. These experiences are true. These experiences are valid, even if they don't make sense to you. And to tap into relentless compassion, you have to allow your heart and your intellect to merge in a way that you can go past your judgments and accept the more objective truth that all experiences are there for a reason. As you allow yourself to be more caring and more validating with yourself it will in turn follow that you can do so for others. You have to be very oriented towards noticing the energies that move through your own body in order for this to really work. And this is why Buddhism, the teaching that is all about compassion in your world, focuses so much on meditation and mindfulness, because it is impossible for you to continue to be compassionate to others until you are compassionate first towards yourself. And so as you step into this energy, you allow yourself to be as you are, and you open to curiosity as to why you go through the various states of consciousness that you do. And by attuning yourself in such a way that you live with softness, you can then extend that softness to others. This is very different than the sympathy that we have mentioned. Some of you mistake sympathy for compassion. Empathy, which is somewhere between sympathy and compassion, is also not compassion. In empathy, you feel other people's emotions with them rather than honoring the universal nature of the human experience. Compassion simply sees suffering and acknowledges suffering as valid without identifying with it. Empathy sometimes means that you take on the suffering of others. Empathy is a healing experience that happens naturally when you resonate with the experience that another person is having. If somebody is experiencing heartache and you still carry the vibration of heartache, you might experience a healing connection of empathy with them. But it isn't always helpful to be in empathy. If somebody is having an experience very different from you, and you choose empathy rather than compassion, you might take in an energy that is foreign to you and internalize it. And so this relentless compassion also involves being aware of sympathy and empathy at all times and choosing to go beyond them, choosing to transcend them.
Okay, thank you so much. I have a follow-up question, which is that I've noticed a trend in the last couple of years where there's been a lot of different people having a focus on one word and finding out what your one word is, which in this case could be compassion. And for reasons of, for example, having one word that determines your year ahead, having clarity, motivation, or alignment, or a representation of your deepest desires or goals or values. So I would love for you to give your readings, or feedback, or suggestions if there's any validity to this permission slip of having one word to focus on and potentially how to find it.
If this resonates for you, that will be a valid permission slip for you. Use the word that comes to you for the amount of time that it serves you and no longer. And you will know when you're complete with it, because it will be beyond a concept. It will be something that you know in a deep way. To find the word that suits you, you have to understand what your biggest struggle is. What is your greatest struggle? If it is attachment, then your word might be something like liberation. If your greatest struggle is fear, your word then might be safety or trust. Energy works in opposites, and the negative opposite is always the at its core essentially the same as its opposite. And so this understanding can help you know that all of your feelings are just pointers. Fear is just a pointer back to love. When you feel fear, it is a message that you need more love. And when you recognize it as simple as that, you'll be able to use every feeling as simply a finger pointing towards the opposite that is inherent within it and essential to it at the core of that feeling.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, well,
We
thanks
have
to
a
you.
question from YouTube. which
All right.
symbol as are Atlanteans back to recreated? Thanks.
What was that?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the context is, but the question written is, are Atlanteans back to recreated?
Recreated?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the context is specifically, but that's the question that was written.
Well, the Atlanteans are reincarnating through you. You carry Atlantean codes, Atlantean soul stories, especially those of you who work as energy workers and light workers and work with crystals have a soul connection to the Atlantean times, as these were technologies that the Atlanteans were masters of. And they put many times different codes in certain crystals to help you access the soul level memories from those ancient times. In your world, the Atlantean karma is healing in a similar way. You might come to see that these stories repeat with variances. And just as the Lyrans were domineering and imposing their will on the supposed lower species, the Atlanteans had the same agenda in your world. And they sought to take control over the more or less indigenous people who were not at the same level of technology or intellect at that time. The Atlanteans were resisted by the Lemurians, who blocked their efforts. And so the Atlanteans attacked the Lemurians in a cataclysmic way, accidentally using too much force to such a degree that they collapsed both of their civilizations entirely. And so, again, part of the karmic lesson is understanding how to go beyond force and step into the higher degree of love and compassion.
Wow, very interesting. I believe we have a question on Zoom now.
All right.
Jody, are you on? Okay, she asked on the chat, so maybe she is not gonna come online. Uh, she wrote, I'd also ask questions about crystal technologies and about if and how the what's called the Essenes and Cathars use crystals, particularly for Jesus after the crucifixion.
The who use crystals?
The I'm
The
not sure what is.
Essenes,
Oh, yes.
the Essenes or the Cathars, but mostly the Essenes. Sorry, Michael, I didn't unmute myself.
Oh, yes, they did use crystals. There was a very special formulation of crystals that they used at that time on rings to carry a frequency for initiation and activation of their lineage and their connection to the Great Spirit.
Can I ask follow-up questions then?
What was it? What was that?
Can I ask follow-up questions about that
Yes.
then?
Yes.
Wonderful. So I've been guided to get a chiastolite cross stone. I'm wondering why that is important and if that's related to the Essenes.
This crystal will help you in activating your soul star connection and its connection to your heart and solar plexus chakra. It is about aligning your personal will with the divine will and coming to create that open channel between your soul star and your solar plexus so that you identify more with your cosmic purpose than with the lower human forms.
Wonderful. How would I use it best? Holding it in my hand? Like, how would
Hold
that?
the crystal to your right side above your head, hold it to the left side above your head, hold it directly above your crown, lower it down to your root, hold it for a moment at your navel, and then hold it and meditate with it at your solar plexus, feeling a downward flow of crystalline light and diamond light into your body.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. But again, this is just a suggestion, and we want you to be guided by the crystal and by your own higher intelligence to know further uses of this crystal for activation and grounding.
Thank you. This was a great and much needed start. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Hello, may I ask a question or make a comment, please?
Oh, yes, you may.
Beautiful transmission. I appreciate it very much. Lots of information. Okay, with respect to compassion, I'm curious about sending light to those that we may deem as dark, for lack of a better word, such as some of our world leaders at this time. And how to how to send them, and if it's appropriate to be sending them love and light, and how to frame it so that it feels genuine.
We encourage you every day to, first of all, send love and light to yourself, and then to send love and light to all beings. And knowing if you do those two things, you've already included all the people that need it. So wonderful. When you focus your intention on sending love and light to all beings, the all of creation, all that is, however you term that, you include those forces of darkness and any of the corrupt leaders or anyone who is out of alignment with source. And by tuning into the all and holding the all within yourself, you also hold these other more negative beings as part of that all. You must come to recognize that the forces of darkness also serve a purpose, and that this physical realm is built upon polarity, and the growth that happens through the contrast between light and dark and positive and negative is what catalyzes your growth and is what gives the soul the rewarding of experience of coming into physical incarnations in the first place. It might not make perfect sense now, but when you tune into your higher self, you recognize that it is divinely planned, divinely orchestrated, and divinely rehearsed even.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Look forward to more questions.
We look forward to more answers. Oh, I'm going to send love to you as well.
Thank you.
Any more questions from Zoom? Let us share them.
I have a million questions, but I don't want to take up all the time.
All right.
Yeah, let's hear one.
Thank you so much. I would also love to know about the Cathars and the history around the Cathars, the Knights Templar, what role they played in Ascension or the period of that time.
Certain secret truths from the times of Egypt were preserved through the times of ancient Greece and many civilizations in between. And these secret societies were of a mixed nature. Some came to it for positive intentions and some came to it for negative intentions, though the organization as a whole played the role of preserving the secrets of the ancients in such a way that they would not be lost and they could be embodied. Also, these organizations served as a way to
Jackie, come.
Psychically prevent certain events from happening, as there was also a deep psychic practice and intuitive grasp that these beings had in allowing there to be greater foresight when calamities might arise.
And I wonder if things are divinely orchestrated and we've got the light and the dark and they all serve a purpose. I am really digging into this history to kind of see, it feels like all of that information was, I dare say, hijacked by some of the not so benevolent forces. Is that true, or is that a misunderstanding about those secret things from Egypt?
It's not as black and white as many of you deem it to be. We've spoken much about the controlling forces in your world and the elite who have ill intentions, though there are also aspects of your history that was positively intended. And so within these secret societies, there's always a mixed bag, and there are Trojan horses for the light, just as much as there are Trojan horses for the darkness in many different societies. The divine purpose of all of this is for there to be the realization of inner light and cosmic truth that can only take place when souls deeply go on their own personal quest for that truth and liberation. And this happens through the formula of acting on your highest passion to the best of your ability without insisting on a particular outcome. Those of you who are passionate about being esotericists, the channel included, will find that this information is absolutely relevant for you in your own growth, and we encourage you to study it. Though be aware that the shadow exists even in those who might feel they are well-intended. And the shadow of many of these beings who might have started off on an esoteric path with good intentions and became corrupted is that they were unaware that fear of lack of knowledge is what motivated their pursuit of knowledge. And you see this in some intellectual types that have a lot of head without heart, that they relentlessly pursue knowing more and more, yet the wisdom of the heart is denied and they live in their head. And this is the basis of many fallen angels in your world, that the intellect takes over the spiritual process and hijack the one who is meant to be driving the heart itself.
That really, really speaks to me. And this is what I love to do, like trying to find the truth, trying to solve this mystery, especially about things like this of the heart. Part of my mission, it feels like. So thank you once again.
Oh, thanks to you once again, yeah.
Very cool. I also have a question about if you could talk about the origins of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorders, and talk about any potential solutions in general that we can use.
Generally, this orients from childhood when children are rejected for their imperfections and given standards that are higher than what they can live up to. And as a way of compensating for this, children will find certain things that they absolutely have control of as a way to make themselves feel safe. And so those with OCD need to go to the unconscious level at which they hold huge degrees of fear and find a way to vent that fear. And it is such a disorder that generally it will collapse itself at a certain point on the path when the obsessiveness becomes a hindrance to actually making progress in a certain area. a panic attack might emerge that will cause that fear-based energy to surge up from the unconscious and collapse the behavior itself. This is, of course, what happens in the worst case scenario. So it is advisable that you start to look at your subconscious fears now.
Very cool. Thank you so much. There's no more written questions. Any more questions from anyone live on Zoom?
We'll say one more thing about that, though, and that while it does connect with some experience that happened long ago, it is something that is alive in the present moment. And so sometimes individuals will hear things about their issue coming from childhood or from this traumatic thing that happened, and they use that instead as a negative belief that justifies the loop itself. They identify with the trauma and identify with the story that is spun by many in your world, including psychological organizations and all such things, that state that if this happened to you, you must be this way. When really the path of liberation is in disidentifying with the pattern itself. And all you have to do is recognize that the pattern doesn't serve and the pattern is based in fear, and get comfortable with that fear. You can only make a different choice in response to fear when you become aware of the fear. So making the fear conscious is the first and most important step. And then in order to proceed, you have to make sure that you don't blame anyone or anything else for the fear. The fear exists within your consciousness now, and therefore it is your responsibility to deal with.
Okay, very cool. And just as a follow-up question, does it make a difference if it's a child, like say from 5 to 8 years old, that experiences the OCD?
Yes, because the child will have to heal through love and nurture. And oftentimes children who behave in this way are not being given the attention and care that they need.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So there's no more written questions. Any last one from Zoom? Otherwise, it seems like there's a synchronicity that the channel wish for it to be about 1 hour.
Oh, all right. That is perfect.
Doesn't seem like it. So on behalf of everybody who's here and who's going to listen to it going forward, thank you so much for your wisdom and guidance. We really, really appreciate this.
Oh, our great thanks to you. Our unconditional love to you. We thank you for allowing this transmission to take place and for integrating these energies in your world, allowing the memories to be expressed in the present, and allowing yourself to tap into that energy of vast transformation that is potential, especially at this potent time of the full moon on this solstice, when you are in that great electromagnetic potential to tune into your vision, to tune into your dream, to tune into your intentions, and allow for the powers of the universe to work through you and return you into your natural state that is unconditional love. So our great thanks to you, and we wish you a very fantastic rest of your day then.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. How was that, everybody? Oh, in just a moment. Okay, I need to remember my thing. So check out dantestarshine.com. And there you can find information on private sessions and the channeling course and the book, Guidebook to Living Love on Earth, that takes you in depth through all of the Pleiadian Council's teachings. These transmissions are beautiful free offerings, but if you felt at all compelled to contribute a donation, that really helps me in making this continue to happen, and I so appreciate it. So on dantestarshine.com, the contact/book a session tab has the link to, do that. And yeah, I thank you for being here and hope to see you next week. Next week, I'm aiming to do the session on Wednesday. So I look forward to seeing you then. And yeah, how was it today?
That's great. Very, very cool answers and questions too.
Yeah.
And new information. I followed you for 4 years, and definitely some new stuff I haven't heard before.
Mm. Upgrade town.
Exactly. Very cool. And there's some very positive responses in the Zoom chat.
Yeah.
Dante, as a channeler, do you always see like your parallel realities and your past lives? Do you have more open vision than us?
I get a lot of visions for sure. But when I'm channeling, I sometimes have very complex visions, sometimes I don't. It's often in like meditation or even just throughout the day that I can get different visions, but I have a very like strong visual component for sure. Yeah. But as a verbal channeler, like the auditory, the word stuff is very potent. And the somatic, the energy, the feeling of energy movement is very potent too.
And I think like if you are so visionary open, do you feel like hard to fit in with the regular people who do not,
Yes.
they don't agree to your ideas? So you feel like a strong conflict?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with it? Because even if I, like you always mention, share your ideas with everybody, and when I try to share it, they like shun me right away. Like I believe in hocus pocus stuff. How do you deal with it?
Well, I just have like, I've had a growing conviction over years, but it's been a practice. Like, it's not always been so easy to stand behind even doing channeling with certain people. And there's so much of this silly hocus pocus ideas that it was difficult at times to even like believe in myself even after I started channeling. But then the validation from people who do resonate really helped. And we need each other. And that moment when somebody else sees what you see or you say something and they actually get it, and that feeling in the heart that's like, oh, that relief, that ability to relax. It's like we have to kind of seek that out and be excited about that. And it's kind of like if you were tuning into the first part of the session, what they were saying of like, you might know the truth, but if somebody's free will is to not hear the truth, and that's what they state, you have to honor that because that's creating a karma. And there's some, you've heard like there's memes and people talk things about unasked for advice, that unasked for advice really isn't helpful. So sometimes there's like ways of expressing ourselves that can be helpful, and there's ways that might turn people off. And I'm at a point in my life now where I am cutting cords and I'm letting people go. And something about my development as a channeler and as an online figure, like there was a lot of energy coming towards me, there was a lot of people coming towards me, and on in the online space I can just not respond to a message, and that's easy. But then as I go through the world, like, and I attract these people, it can be more difficult. And I've had a hard time as well, and other light workers might experience this as well, that some people might want the light that we bring, but they don't want the source of the light. They want to take the energy from us, but they don't want to make their own connection to the source of the light. And what we have to recognize is that true light work is way showing. It's guiding people to point themselves towards the light. And so when we're with our co-creators, we're pointing each other back to the light, and we're recognizing the light in each other. But there's people who are just takers, and so skeptics, takers, and energy drains, like, cut the cord, pull the plug. And I had some really hard experiences recently that has made me like a warrior, like Viking spirit a little bit, not in the violence of that time, but in the strength that's in my blood. And I'm just not here for bullshit, because it has really hurt. And we might think we're helping, but if people don't want the help, or if they're going to drain us of energy, that's not helping the greater good. That's where I'm at.
You come across as a very kind soul, and I think people who are kinder, they get more hurt.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. because our heart is open and we're so well intended, and we feel people so much that, you know, as an open-hearted, kind person, like, we can be so willing to give to people who then, when we see that they're really unwilling to be there for us in the same way, it's like, what have I been doing? Where have I been putting my energy? And so I'm just at a point now where I'm like, wow, there's so many people in my life, and I'm going to treasure the ones that are really lifting me up and let go of the ones who are bringing me down, because that's how we're all going to grow. And it also doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if they're like blood family, if they're a lover, if they're this, if they're that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I have like heard you before. You carry a lot of hurt as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't want to laugh about it, but like illumin people don't carry less hurt just because you are on
No,
the path of enlightenment
of course.
doesn't
But
guarantee happiness.
that's the patriarchal ideal that we're all conditioned with from the Catholic Church and from other, you know, all of these like structures where there's a charismatic leader. The charismatic leader presents the image of somebody who is perfect and enlightened. And we idealize that, and we want so much to just take refuge in someone who's perfect, because it assuages the sense in us that we're flawed and hopeless or helpless. It's so relieving, but it's a big illusion. And so you know, I don't want to talk so much about all my struggles all the time. I went through that part of the path, and it was and a phase that I think, you know, it's okay that we go through the dark night of the soul, and sometimes we have to do that in order to open ourselves to help and receive love. And, you know, oftentimes we learn that we don't need love from others, and we just have to do it all ourselves. Western capitalist culture tells us that, but we do need love. And sometimes you have to break down so that you can be held by loving people and know what that means and who your loving people are. But like, yeah, being real and in the new paradigm is that we all have wounds, we all have wounding, we're all sensitive, we all have shadows. And being enlightened doesn't get rid of that. Being enlightened just means that you're at a state of consciousness where you observe without reacting and without repressing. That's all. That's being illuminated. That's being awake. It's seeing it, recognizing it, embodying it.
Yeah. It
It's
was
a
a
fun.
beautiful channel. And Dante, to me, you come across as a sadhu. You know what sadhu is from
Of
India.
of course I know what a sadhu is. I am a sadhu. What do you think I am? I'm a Viking sadhu star seed light worker.
Viking sadhu, yes. Amanda, you agree? He looks like an Indian sadhu, right, Amanda?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I go to India and they know too. They all come and they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're
Come
like
with me.
sitting among
Come with me.
But Dante, you must have had a knowing of your previous lives in India. Were you a sadhu back then too?
Yeah. Yeah. Yogi sadhu.
Are you part of Krishna or any particular like sadhu or any god
Durga.
before? Durga?
Durg.
She stands
Devi.
for Devi power.
Yeah.
Durga stands for knowledge, right? Even though I should.
Protection. Protection.
Hmm.
Slaying the demon.
That's where the Viking
See,
comes.
that's the Viking. Slaying the demon with feminine power. because Durga, or maybe it's Chandi, the incarnation of Durga, there was a demon created that no man could kill. So Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva created Durga to slay the demon. But it's a special incarnation of Durga, I think. It might be Chandi or Chandika. I need to learn more as well, master it. But yeah, Durga has always been there. And it's in my astrology chart too.
Yeah, what is super awesome about you is like you combine the Vedic astrology with this astrology when you do your readings. It's just amazing. I don't think there's anybody else doing it on the internet, on YouTube. I haven't.
Yeah. It's kind of a lot to do in my own brain. So I'm leaning more just into the Vedic at the time, but it all comes and goes. There's too many things for me to study and do in a day. It's overwhelming me a little bit, and I'm learning just to go with the flow, and things. The Western is falling away because I just don't have the time for everything anymore.
Thank you, Dante.
Thank you. Blessings. Really good to see you all, connect with you.
Yes. Thank you, Dante. And someday soon when you have time.
Oh, Jody, do you want to do a day next week? Because I wasn't sure what my schedule would be like, but you mentioned coming onto your show. So I think, would you like to do like Monday or Tuesday?
Look at my calendar. Yeah.
Send me an email. Send me an email.
Okay.
I was thinking about sending you an email after this, but I'm glad you spoke up because now it's easier. Look at your schedule. Monday or Tuesday afternoon Pacific time would be great.
Yay.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dante. And I love how they talked to both of us about being esotericists and not getting into our head. And like, there's always more to learn, and I'm keeping it fun.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.